some of the wonderful things about Wellington. It's trees, and people, and nature, and Fox's Field, and mills, and waterways, and community farm. Oh, and our fabulous town council. But let's stick with trees for a minute. We take trees very seriously here in Wellington. We even have a tree walk. And some of the trees have been adopted and have names. We honour our trees. These venerable arboreal grandparents, we cherish them. And when they fall or bear leaves no more, we mourn them. We don't look back, except to learn valuable lessons. So look forward to the future and give nature a much-needed helping hand. We plant a new generation. We nurture and watch over our saplings, protect them until the stakes and guards are no longer needed, and thus the new generation is up and away and reaching skyward on their journey. As they do, they suck in carbon from our poorly air, giving us oxygen in return, along the way absorbing atmospheric pollution, thereby protecting the lungs of a new human generation. The leafy canopies spread give shade to a host of animals, including us, and their roots bind the soil. Stalwart against the savageries of weather and flood, trees protect us from wind and rain, and sometimes tide in far-off exotic places. Although unheard by humans, trees sing to each other, underground and overground, communicating along the mycelial telegraph with the help of their fungal friends. Let's finish this brief extolling of sylvan virtues and think of the way our trees in temperate climes give us an autumnal explosion of colours, hues and textures, leaves falling to the ground, feeding the worms and soil, then only to delight us once more in spring with the popping of buds and the eruption of leaves to start nature's train ride once more. Here's the story so far.
By introducing yourself, Rosie, and tell us about who you are and what you do.
Hello, I'm Rosie Walker. I work for the Woodland Trust as the Regional External Affairs Officer for the South West. My role is to work right across that region and work with the local authorities at all different tiers, from unitary authorities right down to town and parish councils, to help them, guide them in increasing their tree cover right across the South West, and getting involved in projects like this. With that, we want to increase the biodiversity, and trees are a really big, important part of that. So what's special about here in Wellington is that we have got this area where we're going to plant 2 hectares of trees, just less than 2 hectares of trees, which we think is probably one of the largest schemes of that size in the country. So that'll be about 4,000 trees that we plant overall between now and Christmas. This is a pioneering project, and we want to really encourage more town and parish councils to get involved and find parcels of land that they can use to do things like this. Every little contribution matters towards us meeting our tree planting and woodland creation targets across the country. So working at every single scale really matters.
So this is a bit of a shift from thinking at a big macro scale about new forests here and there to thinking local and getting trees in that kind of scale. Is that right?
Yes, this is definitely about going from that macro level to the micro level, so that we get trees in every single place that we possibly can. This project has been done through the Woodland Trust Smallwood scheme, So that scheme is exactly targeted at planting schemes of around 2 hectares. And the Woodland Trust pays for 75% of the cost, thanks to our excellent funders that are in partnership with the Woodland Trust. And we expect the landowner to pay 25% of that cost. So it's a really big saving for the landowner. It means that a town and town and parish council could really find this quite affordable. And it also comes with all the design and all that ecological knowledge behind it as well, to make sure that we get the trees in the right places. Our outreach team will come and work with the town council and do a design, work with a local community group who really know a site to work out where the best places for the trees are and which are the best species to plant as well.
So is there a community group here in Wellington that you're working with closely as well as the town council?
There is. We are working with several community groups through the Green Corridor scheme. There's a community farm, there's Transition Town Wellington that we work with. There's also the Basins volunteers that are helping us with this site as well. So they've been involved in preparing the area for us to heal in the ground. The Transition Town volunteers are already experienced in planting, so they're helping me to lead some of the planting days. So everyone is feeling like they can really take part and lend their expertise to this. These projects are really worthwhile because of the many benefits that flow from them. We're at the entrance to one of the fields that we're going to be planting the trees in. There's 6 areas across the Green Corridor that we're going to do the main tree planting in. Plus, we're also going to plant 5 roundels, and we're going to plant in another field in some small groups because it's quite an overgrown field and we want to protect some of the habitat that's already existing in that field. There's about 25 species that we're going to plant overall. They're all native species and a range of shrubs and trees. We're planting those based on what is already here and adding some newer species into the mix as well to increase some species for climate resilience. So the trees are coming from a nursery that the Woodland Trust uses, and they are grown to our plant health standard, which is called UK and Ireland Sourced and Grown, UK ISG. And we've only got 43 species of native tree in the UK, so it's really important that we don't add to an already complex mix of pests and diseases that our trees are being bombarded by at the moment. Climate change is really making the environment and the conditions better for pests and diseases, so our trees are really under threat from that, and that's what ash dieback is all about, and phytophthora and lots of those diseases that can really affect our native trees. We expect the trees that we plant, because they are UK provenance, to be resistant to climate change in the future. Seeds produce many seeds, and that gives them a thing called genomic diversity, so it's in the DNA of the seeds is to be resistant to climate change and hopefully to pests and diseases in the future. There's a lot of research around that tells us that actually planting native trees that are from the UK is a good way forward, particularly thinking about biodiversity.
Morning, Rosie. What are we doing here today?
So we're grabbing a break in the weather from the frost and snow we've had over the last few days to get the trees healed into the ground. So it's to give them a temporary home, get their roots in the soil so that the trees will stay alive until we're actually ready to plant them in the next few weeks. We've been completely scuppered by the weather. The trees arrived on Tuesday, and on Tuesday night it froze, and that's what we've had for the last 3 days. So we've been doing this with them. We've got about 3,800 trees to roughly get in the ground, and it is just a rough job at the moment until we can get ourselves ready for the 13th of December, which is now going to be the first planting date.
I did bring a fork along as well. That helps out the lumps.
Hi Kathleen, what are you doing here today?
So I'm volunteering here with the Woodland Trust just for the morning, I think. Yeah. Just helping healing the trees to make sure they've got moisture and they're not too damaged by the cold temperatures before we can properly plant them with the volunteers.
And why are you volunteering?
So I've been doing quite a lot of volunteering this year, building up experience to get into a career in conservation, which is heavily reliant on experience. So just having experience of a lot of different things in the sector and just time in the field, really.
And what's your background?
So I did a biology degree at Bristol Uni, and then I realised that I wanted to go more into the conservation and ecology kind of sector, and I just really love being outside and monitoring wildlife. So yeah, that's why I'm interested in it.
A perfect opportunity.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I do work with Transition Town, so it's nice to draw links between the different things going on.
We've had to cancel tomorrow, which is really frustrating, which is the first day of planting trees that we wanted to do for the start of National Tree Week.
Yeah, it's always
But we've got Storm Bert coming in, so literally today is a gap in the weather for us to get this done, so that they're not left in the bags and drying out and the roots have got soil around them. So this should protect them quite nicely, and hopefully we can get as many of them planted between now and Christmas as we can.
Isn't it?
It's the grafting
Everybody says.
And then of course we have
So the Jubilee Woodland, which one is that over by?
My name's Darren Hill, I'm the Open Spaces Manager for Wellington Town Council. I've been appointed Open Spaces Manager from April 2024, and this is the first large-scale planting project we've been involved in as Wellington Town Council. This is actually a large project, full stop. I've been in local government for 28 years, and this is the largest scale project I've been in of its kind. And Wellington's a bit of a forefront for this, really. We're very, very fortunate that the Town Council acquired over 60 acres of a green corridor, and it's part of the reason I joined the Town Council. It's forward thinking. This is going to be invaluable space for the community going forward, not only for environmental reasons and improving the biodiversity and habitat in these areas, but also for people to enjoy. We want to make them more inclusive and able and accessible for everybody.
What attracted you to come to this large field on this grey day in December 2024?
Well, I saw the project being advertised, and I love helping anything that helps sort of look after the environment and protect the green space that we've got. then I'm all in. So I thought I'd come down and help out.
Will you continue to support this type of project?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Do you know if there are other projects like this going on anywhere?
I know of Transition Town that's already happening in Wellington, and I've helped out a couple of times with them before. So yeah, I know kind of more local to me. There's gardening projects and things like that happening where people are using more green space to try and grow things and yeah, make the most of what we've got.
Since COVID-19, I think people have taken our open spaces and looked at it in a different light. Prior to that, I think they took them for granted. Now they're looking on their doorstep, looking what's around in our local communities, and Wellington's an ever-growing town like most towns. This land is particularly accessible. You can get to here relatively quickly, and we're very lucky that we're in this process of planting over 4,000 trees in all in and around Wellington with the Tiny Forest project.
And what do you hope to achieve here today, Jonathan?
For my sins, I've got the trailer with the mulch in it, so I just fill it up at one end and bring it down the other end and empty it out again.
What is the mulch? Where does it come from?
It's come from the town council. I believe it's from hedge clippings and tree felling that they've done locally, mulched it up, allowed it to decompost for a bit, and then brought it out here for us to use doing this to help protect the tree roots as they take hold and start to grow. They're doing quite well. They've been going in an awful lot quicker than Rosie thought they would do, certainly than I thought they would do, hence why I've not actually planted a single tree myself. I have just been moving mulch around.
The green corridor is over 60 acres, and then we've got obviously our parkland, our formal park and areas in and around the town, so it does, I'm not sure what the overall size, but it does add up to quite a sizable area to be maintained. But actually this was a really great idea for the town council to have acquired this land, and as I said before, forward thinking.
Do you know of any other councils doing similar things?
I know of other councils doing similar things, but none on this scale, and actually we're really very fortunate to have Rosie Walker as a resident of Wellington, but also involved with the Woodland Trust and able for us to do this project.
What are you doing here, Steve?
So we're planting in total, I think it's 1,100 trees in this field. We've got, 1,100 trees and shrubs. So we're planting 850 trees, of which 450 are oaks. We're doing the oaks today, and then tomorrow's session will be infilling the gaps in the oaks with 5 other species. I can't remember what we've got exactly.
I noticed there are grey tops and red tops.
So the grey tops are where trees are going to go, and red tops is where the shrubs are going to go. The shrubs are more along the edge to form like a forest edge.
I see. And these are whips that you're planting?
These are whips, yeah. I don't know how old they are, probably 2 years old, 3 years old.
And how do you go about planting them?
So, I mean, the ground is absolutely perfect at the moment. Just put the spade in. Unfortunately, they're just slightly over a spade width deep, the roots. The trees have been supplied by the Woodland Trust, and they're beautiful trees, I have to say. Grab a tree. There's a mark on the tree where the roots end and where it's been grown on, so you want to try and plant it ideally to that depth. Which sometimes, I think we're deep enough here, that's good. And just heal the ground in around it. And then put on a tree guard. So these are just to stop rabbits and deer from nibbling the new trees.
Are those recyclable, Steve?
These, yeah, they have been made with recyclable plastic, and at the end of their life you send them back to the company and they reuse them to make more new tree guards. So
absolutely ideal.
Yeah, you only lose the energy, I suppose, in making them, really.
Yeah. A number of win-wins.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, no worries.
I'm Anita Roy, and I am working with Transition Town Wellington. I'm currently their chairperson, and I'm also a writer and a cloud maker.
I'm a member of the Transition Town Wellington gardening group, which is how I found out about this planting session.
What brings you here?
A belief in in what we're doing, planting trees for future generations. I agree with it. I support access to land that previously wasn't open to the public, and I support all the aims of the Green Corridor here in Wellington.
You'd like to know why we're all doing it, I suppose, yeah?
Yes, please.
Right, lovely. Well, as you can see, there's a number of people here. There were yesterday. So I enjoy doing it because you come down and you realise that a place like Wellington is, in many ways, a great big family. We've got kids here, we've got mums, dads, we've got me, we've got others, all helping out to do something that will be great for Wellington in the future, when we've got a nice big wood here, lots of different species. There'll be habitats for animals. It'll help the planet, as all trees do, and that's why I love it.
You mentioned Transition Town Wellington. Has this got a connection with Transition Town?
So Transition Town Wellington, which is the group that I'm part of, we're helping to advise and to kind of direct the management of the whole Green Corridor as part of a working group working along with the Town Council, the Basins Volunteer Group, Wellington Sports Federation, the Community Farm, and the Council, and the Environment Agency, and the Woodland Trust. So there's a lot of people that are involved in trying to figure out the best way that we can look after this whole nearly 70 acres of land in a way that's going to boost biodiversity and be really good for the community.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Helen, and I live locally. I do things with the Transition Town Wellington, and I'm helping out today with the Woodland Trust planting.
What exactly are we doing here today, Helen?
I've just planted what I think is a cherry tree, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the blossom when it comes out.
What sort of benefits do you think a scheme like this brings?
So here we've got a really lovely mixed woodland. So we've got oaks and beeches, which are big kind of canopy trees. We've also got a lot of shrubby kind of trees like blackthorn and hazel, and dog rose and dogwood and stuff like that. So it's quite patchy, it's quite organic in a lot of ways. And that's really because that is the kind of mixed deciduous woodland which is going to be most beneficial for the birds and the animals that live all around here. And it's actually creating a lot more habitat. So places to forage, places to feed, places to hide for birds and mammals.
Janet, as Mayor, it must make you very proud to see something like this going on.
I think it's wonderful. The fact that a small town like ours can take on something like this green space of 65 acres or something, and now that we're planting all these trees, I think we're planting 3,500 to 4,000 trees. So something on this scale in a town like this, I think is really, really wonderful.
It's really ambitious, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think does that say more about the town as well as just trees?
I think it does. We are an ambitious town council. We want to do a lot of good for the town, and this is just a start to what we hope to do this year with other green spaces like our park.
And what are you picking up from residents about this tree planting scheme?
I've spoken to several on the way here from the car park this morning. They're all very keen. They like to see it. They want to help to make sure the trees are in and can grow. And I know that a lot of people walk their dogs through the green space where they're allowed to. There are some areas where we don't want dogs, but on the other hand, they can come, bring their dogs. I saw 2 dogs in this field this morning on my way up from the car park. So I think it's really, really something they want.
And of course it helps climate change.
Definitely.
4,000 trees.
Yes, yeah.
There's field maple, rowan.
You can tell that just by the...
Yep, because it's got a slightly square. It's got a slightly square stem. It's got all of this beautiful sort of tiger mark on the stem.
So, Rosie, you live in Wellington, but you work for the Woodland Trust. So
I do.
What are we doing here today?
So this is a fantastic opportunity that the council have given the town by having this whole 65-acre site, which is getting open for more and more public access, and we're being able to do more and more for nature and for climate change.
And that's Wellington Town Council.
That's Wellington Town Council.
Yeah. So who owns the land here? Is that Wellington Town Council?
So the Somerset Council own the land, and it's on a lease to Wellington Town Council for 150 years. And it's 65 acres of land. Wow. We've got around 12-ish sort of compartments and fields and different sets of activity that's going on. We've found the best places to increase tree cover, so that's what we're doing today. We're planting part of around 3,900 trees, which are going in right across the site.
I won't get to 3,900 today.
No.
Yeah. But that's the aim. How long are you doing this over the spring, summer?
We've been doing this all across the winter.
The winter, yeah.
And we're having a final push to get the last trees in the ground by the end of March, which is the end of the planting season.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many volunteers have you been getting?
So on most days we've been getting more than 20 volunteers from across Wellington, which is really great. They've all been walking and cycling here, so that's just doing their real bit for climate change by planting trees exactly where they live.
What were you saying about biodiversity? I mean, how is that enhanced with the tree planting?
And we're in a massive biodiversity crisis at the moment, and most of our native birds and mammals are actually woodland species. That's what they've evolved amongst, and we've lost an incredible amount of our woodlands over the last hundreds of years. And so this is a small step to putting some of those woodlands back, and that's all important for biodiversity as well. All the species that we've got are really suffering from water shortages, from not being able to drink. So holding water around and having the natural flood management of the trees is really good for all of those species.
Okay, Gideon, so what's your impression of the project?
Look, I mean, this is an amazing project. Look at this beautiful place we're in here at the Basins at Wellington. I'm just blown away really by what's happening. 3,000 trees being planted along the green corridor around Wellington. So important to take practical steps to restore nature and allow nature to recover. We've lost so many species. One of the things I've been doing in Parliament is working on the Climate and Nature Bill, which would have put in much more ambitious targets to restore nature and to tackle climate change. But here today, being with you, Keith, with other town councillors, Janet, the mayor, was here, is just a really fantastic way to actually get out and do something practical. And it's great to see so many volunteers coming every day from Wellington. I hope many more people will come to the remaining days in March to finish off the 3,000 plantings of new trees.
I don't know if you're aware, but for the Woodland Trust, who are the overarching organisers and sponsors of this, they've chosen Wellington as a pilot project for the whole. There's nothing else happening on this scale in the UK for a small town.
I didn't know that. And Wellington, with Transition Town Wellington, the Town Council, is a real mover and shaker in terms of how we respond to the nature crisis and the climate crisis. And it's so great to see a real local grassroots community group which is tackling these issues and actually doing something really practical, because it's not just here, it's not just the field behind me. You can see Fox's Field next door has been the first step in the chain, and I've done a lot of tree planting there. Transition Town Wellington have done so much to make that happen. So it's a real community initiative, and one of the great things about Wellington. Well, someone once said, let the countryside invade the town, and I think this is a real practical example of how we can make that happen, because Wellington is having a lot of development, a lot of new housing, but this green lung right into the heart of Wellington is so important and so beautiful. You just come down and stand by the basins, the waterways there. You can probably hear them in the background. People walking their dogs and just enjoying the sunshine. It's a beautiful place and fantastic for Wellington.
Ollie, who's given Max a lift?
What connects the EA and the Woodland Trust and Wellington Town Council in the context of this project? What are you doing it? Why are you interested?
So we have 2 environmental leave days a year, and we have a local person that works with us, and he's in contact with the Woodlands Trust, and we thought it would be a very good idea to come out here and plant some trees. As you can see behind you, we have a watercourse, which is our bread and butter of what we do. So it all links in together.
This is part of natural flood management, together with all of that biodiversity and climate change stuff. So planting trees doesn't actually reduce flooding, but it just holds the water back and slows the flow a little bit, and makes the soil better able to cope with big downpours of rain. And what's fantastic is that the Environment Agency staff have had all their training and are all really capable and able to get into this really difficult spot that we wouldn't be able to do this without them. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How does it feel to be part of this in Wellington now?
It's fantastic to be part of this in Wellington. This is such a special project, not just for the Woodland Trust, but for everybody in Wellington. This type of landscape scale recovery is what we're all about, and it contributes so much, not just to climate change, but also to people's well-being and their leisure activities, and living in an area that has more woodland, more trees. It just makes it a nicer place, a happier and a healthier place for everyone to be.
There's at least 5,000 people and more that live within 15 minutes walk of this. So people don't even have to get in their cars and drive. This is the place where people can just leave their front door to come and get some time in nature, feel like they've restored themselves in a nature that's restoring itself, and go away and feel happier and enjoy their day more.
We've seen that, haven't we? There's been dog walkers all day, people just coming and having a stroll. We can hear the kids at the school over in the background, so it is really, we've got the houses right here. It's so on people's doorsteps. It's just fantastic.
Is this a platform for the Woodland Trust to do this again in other places?
It is. We really want other town councils and other parishes to be able to see this as a real example of what they can do, getting their communities involved. And we've got more plans for the future for this 65 acres as well. So there's going to be the park run using the fields that we're looking at over there. There is the community farm, which gives local people local food, which is really great, and they are also able to send some of their produce to the food bank as well.
I think one of the things that makes this special for the Woodland Trust is, as an organisation, we work with a lot of landowners who are looking after the woodlands that they own or creating new woodlands. But we don't often get to work with a town council the way that we are here. So rather than it being a discrete piece of land that's going to have benefit for everyone but really only be accessible to a smaller number of people, this really has so much potential community benefit as well. And I think the community engagement and being involved, being hands-on, boots on the ground, it really places it in a special place in people's hearts and minds as well. So we can be confident that people will look after it.
This project cost Wellington Town Council £3,000 in terms of money, but the benefits from that are absolutely huge.
And as well, I think with so many town councils are under so much pressure to do house building, and planning is the biggest threat to our trees and woodlands. So it's particularly special, I think, that Wellington Town Council have invested in this land and protected it from development that would have changed the character of the local area, but also would have meant that all of the stuff that we've talked about, all this amazing resource, is completely lost for forever at that point.
We're right between the Blackdowns National Landscape and the Quantocks National Landscape, who have all got to do 30 by 30, so protect 30% of their land by 2030 for nature. And this is a part of a real link across the Taunton Vale to link those two national landscapes together through connected habitat, which is absolutely perfect. It's what we want through the Local Nature Recovery Strategy, and it's what we also wanted through the Somerset Tree Strategy as well. So this is a real project that just embodies and encapsulates everything that we want to do for people, nature and climate.
Absolutely.
Earlier in the year, we cleared the space here to make way for the trees, and we didn't know what was going to come through in the ground. We planted these trees in late January and early February, and now we're in very early spring, and these yellow flowers are lesser celandine, which is an ancient woodland indicator species. These flowers tell us that there used to be woodland here. This is a beautiful story because we've now given this land its trees back.
Here we are, where it all started, Rosie, about a year ago, or approaching a year ago, on Wellington's Green Corridor. It's been many, many things, frozen, sodden, spring-like, summery, dry as a bone.
Yes, it's been quite a journey. So much has been achieved and the project has been a resounding success. We started off with the bare root saplings and the healing in, which was done in Great Meadow. Then the marking out before the planting, and the planting itself. What an effort. A huge thank you to everyone who was involved.
Climate change was mentioned throughout the film, and we can see the effects of that very clearly, I think, with how everything was so dry, and that spring and summer 2025 were exceptionally dry, perhaps the driest combination on record.
Yes, I think you're probably right. And if we look at the trees in general, there are signs of distress. Leaves have fallen prematurely and there's a lot of browning. In some species there is an extraordinary amount of fruiting, a sure sign of stress that comes because we've got this changing climate and changing weather and this dry spell and then lots of rain all of a sudden.
Is there safety in numbers with regard to the saplings? Will they survive in sufficient numbers going forward?
Yes, we'd expect, even under stressful conditions, that anywhere between 50 and 75% of the trees will survive, depending on the conditions. So we have planted many more than we need, which is why they are quite dense at this stage.
Oh good, onward and upward. Back at the beginning of things, when the volunteers were healing in bare roots for protection before the planting got underway, you talked about the good old British weather. Storm Bert, if I remember rightly, we did get a bit of flood and pretty vicious winds. Although none of that affected the saplings themselves, we did, it seemed to me, get a big number of trees fallen across the region. Presumably, the planting that's been done is a form of mitigation against loss due to weather, and of course natural loss too.
Yes, definitely. There is mitigation in what we've done. We are seeing a trend for more storms year on year. These are coming earlier when the trees are still in leaf. Also, the trees are keeping their leaves on for longer, so when storms hit, the trees can act like sails and get blown down. So we need to plant more trees so that we can cope. It's not just storms though, we've got many more tree pests and diseases in the UK now. So we need to plant more diverse woodlands so that they are more resistant to these diseases and we don't lose stands of single species in one go. Open areas within woodlands are a good thing, and that can be created by storms. Those open areas provide warmer, sheltered habitats that are important for butterflies and other important species.
What lessons learned from the project, Rosie? How useful has it been, and what are the next steps?
We've shown what can be done when the people of a community come together to do this. It's been fantastic to see people turn up to plant all those trees in all the weathers. This is a great example of community action for climate change and nature in a place which is such a resource for the community. There is a constant stream of people using this area and enjoying being in nature. The work here isn't finished. We need to do some spring cleaning and have another planting day or two in the spring to replace the odd tree that's already been lost. But wider than that, we're exploring ideas around where we can create book lovers wood, where trees could be planted to reflect people's love of books and novels. I'm also showcasing the work we've done here to encourage other town and parish councils that they can do this too.
One would hope that by engaging the community as has been done here, that it really gathers pace and increases in magnitude. It's worth highlighting that the People's Climate Vote study, which was conducted by Oxford Uni, and that was worldwide, has confirmed that 80 to 89% of global population want climate action. Sadly, they're a silent majority. We are a silent majority. We need to get louder about this, and I think this is one of the ways it can be done.
Yellow weather warnings for wind are still in place in many areas across the UK, and there have been gusts of up to 76 miles per hour in Somerset today.